Hi, welcome KCIW listeners at 100.7 FM and KCIW.org, Brookings, Oregon. Well, here we are again. You know the routine. I'll teach it to my new guest who's smiling and sparkling across the plexiglass. You're going to respond with, "It's never been lived before." Here's how it goes. It's a brand new day.
It's never been lived before.
There we go. Oh my gosh, she nailed it. So welcome everybody to Joyously Free with me, none better, Joanie Lindenmeyer. Yes, I've been here 34 years in Brookings Harbor. I'm an author and I'm a resident, of course. So my KCIW radio show, also known by my queer family as Gadio Show, is a show that talks about LGBTQ, stories and tips, along with religion, church, faith, and spirituality. Simply put, joy, freedom, courage, confidence, and collaboration is what it's all about. Yes, you know, I'm a vibrant, joy-filled, great communicator, so this show can include a wide range of listeners and encompasses joy in every weekly topic. We thank you for being here and tuning in to KCIW 100.7 FM. And you know, the purpose of our show is to spread that joy. And it came from what? Yes, you remember that too. My second book called Joyously Free. How to live your true self and be your true self as LGBTQ people, parents, and allies. I co-authored it with Elizabeth Atkins, and it is going great guns around the world. Yes, we always want people to speak and do and live their truth. So this show today, you know, we always start with our prayer because I believe in the divinity that Jesus and God, whatever name you put on your higher being, is always with you and always with me. So we are not to be troubled. Be not afraid or saddened. Have joy and peace exude out of you from your insides. Reach deep to find it, because all is well with my soul. Again, as usual, no hate speech, no hate behaviors, and no bullying. We will be blasted with the 3 C's of courage, confidence, and collaboration. Well, listeners, today our prayer is going to start with a very, very quick little psalm. It's one of my favorites, and I found out it's one of my guests' favorites today, too. Here we go. Psalm 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. Let's breathe in with joy and out with doubt. Let's take another deep breath in with love and not with despair. Let's breathe in, be still, and know that I am God. Out with any worry or concerns. We say, hi, Jesus, hi, God, hi, Spirit. We thank you for being with us today, this brand new day. When I read that quote this morning, be still and know that I am God, it just puts in perspective what's really important in life. To take the time, and whether that's seconds, minutes, hours, days, or months, to take that time and just be you in silence to see and feel a presence that is beyond anything earthly. It is something so spiritual that you will feel a massive amount of love and joy just deep within you. And the more you take that time to be quiet, the more often you do it, the more consistent that you do it to take that time. As Carol would call it, they're love breaks. And it just spreads more joy and peace in the world. I'm so grateful for the times living here on the coast that we have that opportunity to walk on a beach or to be out in the garden or to be wherever we are in nature, to let that stillness be. Oh, dear Lord, we thank you for your guidance and your healing. We thank you for being with us today, and we pray that we always do your will in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Oh my gosh, this is like so exciting. As I'm looking at Sparkly Lady here, and her name is going to come here real soon, but her topic she picked, of course, is God and nature. So everybody, all KCIW listeners, I want to introduce you to the most incredible Kathleen Dixon. Welcome, Kathleen.
Hey, Joanie, thanks for having me.
Oh my God, it is so fun to see your smile. You know, I've seen you at library board meetings and at church and around town and course, at your booth and your market. Oh my gosh. So I am so glad you get to tell the community today who you are, where you've come from, all the great adventures going on in your life. Would you start by talking about how we met, Kathleen?
Sure. As we were sharing before we started this recording, I'm pretty sure I met you at a library board meeting.
Okay.
I had just been appointed. It would have been early in 2023. And if I recall correctly, you were there with your first book, None Better. And I can't remember if you were just promoting it then or asking us to put it on the shelves, or if we had put it on the shelves and you were thanking us. I think that's what it was.
Right.
And of course, I bought your book after the meeting, had you sign it, and then went home and read it.
Oh.
And I've since seen you at St. Tim's a bunch, and we've gotten to know each other over the last year and a half or so. But I'm pretty sure that was it. And I got to say, one of the things about that book that just really tickled me was when I read that you and Carol met in Lewiston, Idaho. I lived in Lewiston, Idaho at the same time you two were meeting. And although we're not sure if we've ever met each other, we decided that we'd both been to the show Godspell at Lewis and Clark State College in Lewiston.
I so remember.
And we could very well have met. So anyway, when I read that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just so godlike. It's just so cool because those little things happen. And I just got to think to myself, there's a reason for this. There's a reason I met you and reason I bought your book. And, that kind of stuff just gets me.
That spontaneous, miraculous events, huh?
Exactly.
And they're serendipitous.
Yeah, totally.
And we don't control them.
Nope.
They're from above.
Exactly.
What a great story. And I've heard so many people comment about one or two or three things in the books that I have written that they resonate with and they can totally connect with. And I don't know if you know, but None Better is an audio book now on Amazon Audible. And I am just being flooded with people talking about hearing my voice and all of that. So, but not enough about me. That's enough about me. Let's get into you. So tell me, what's on your mind and heart today?
Well, I picked the topic, God and nature, because whenever I feel distant from God, which is a lot these days because the world is just so nuts, it's nature that calms me and that reminds me that God is always present. And all I have to do, since we live in this beautiful Brookings, Oregon, all I have to do is go out on my back deck and I can look over the ocean and I've got trees around me and I've got kitty cats on my lap and I've got birds in the trees. And I just sit and I'm quiet for a while and God just kind of speaks through all of that.
Oh.
And then I can get back to the daily grind, if you will, and be a little bit less anxious and a lot more peaceful.
Very cool. Very cool. So you have a gorgeous view. You have a gorgeous place. You're with your cats. You're with yourself. And you're just loving life through God in nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a hiker?
I am, sort of, kind of, but I'm mostly a mushroom picker, although I haven't done a lot of that in the last few years. But that, of course, involves hiking, too. And it's funny. I got to share this. So when the man that I'm currently married to, Rich, we met each other in Colorado. I was newly sober, and we met at a bar, believe it or not. We were both playing pool. I wasn't drinking, of course, and something just sparked. He's a spontaneous, risk-taking kind of guy and just loves to do all kinds of nutsy things. So long story short, we decided, we were both separated from our spouses, and we decided to leave Colorado and go west. And again, long story short, we landed in Brookings, and the first people we met were mushroom pickers. Oh. And the first thing Rich says is, let's check this out. We could probably do this. And that's what started it all. This life in Brookings came... It happened because God was working in our lives at that time, and she was basically saying, this is where you need to be. And so she gave us this opportunity to make a little money, to get out into the woods, to experience this beautiful place, and to learn about mushrooms. And of course, everything else kind of went from there. And whenever I think about how we landed, it was just, some people would say, oh, it's just chance. You just got lucky and you landed. But no, we were drawn here and we were kept here because it's not the easiest place to make a living. And so you have to get creative, or at least at the time we did. And every time I would think, oh, I can't do this, we can't afford to stay here, something would pop up that would allow us to stay. We'd earn a little bit of money. We'd meet the right people. We'd expand our horizons. And it was always God saying, this is where you need to be. And I stopped fighting it about, 15 years ago. I said, okay, fine, we'll stay. We'll stay until we're called to go elsewhere, which hasn't happened.
You betcha. And I love it because I envision this parachute just open, and that's your mind and that's your heart.
Yeah.
When things are open for you, you see the possibilities, you see the opportunities, and you have somebody lovely to share that with, and that person is also in tune with you. It sounds like, Richard.
Yeah.
So way to go. So mushrooms led to anything else nature-wise?
Well, so, to pick mushrooms, you're out into the woods regularly and you're hiking lots. And so that was our life for the first couple of years. And then we were, again, trying to figure out how to make a living. And he loved to garden. And I have a black thumb. But I was reading about local food and a concept called community-supported agriculture, CSA.
Yes.
And I said to Rich, we could maybe do this because we had discovered the wonderful Rogue Valley peaches. And we had been going to Medford and picking up produce from there and selling it here. And so that just blossomed into having our own little truck garden for a while, creating a CSA program, selling at the farmers markets. And so the mushrooms just expanded into peaches, which expanded into all the rest, which turned into CSA, which turned into farmers market, which now has turned into a website. Because, the trials and tribulations of selling at a market, rain or shine, whether there's people or not, having stuff left over that you can't sell, that kind of thing. We have solved all those issues by taking our business online. So we are now a website, an e-commerce website, and that's how I sell food these days.
Wow. Way cool. Way cool. So what's the name of your website? Or can you spell it for us? Access.
Sure. It's otterbeesmarket.com, and it's OTTERBEESMARKET.com.
Very
But
cool.
I did not come here to promote myself, so rein me back in here, Joanie.
Okay. Well, and I love how you talk about mushrooms, and you're talking about fruit, and now you're talking about other things. Are you particularly have a particular product that you love to eat yourself, grow and eat, and then share with others?
Well, it's hard for me to choose favorites no matter what. Ask me my favorite song, I can't name it. My favorite book, can't name it. I really can't name my favorite food either. What I love about growing food, selling food, promoting food is helping people to see that in this region, we have such a diversity of food throughout the year that you don't need to go to the grocery store as often as you might think, because one of the farms in the area or you yourself can be growing just about everything you need depending on the time of year. You just have to rethink seasons. You have to rethink what you should be eating and when, and get back to nature, which is how God created all of this. I mean, there's a reason why things grow when they grow, where they grow. It's all about abundant life and things having their own season. There is a time and a place. Ecclesiastes, right?
Yes.
In every place or any time there is a season, something like that. I know the song better than I know the verse. I've never pretended to be a Bible verse memorizer.
But you know them by songs. And I know you're a pianist. We'll get to that part in a minute here too. But yes, a season for every crop, a season for everything.
Yeah. And when people realize that salads are meant to be eaten, spring. Here in the Oregon coast, we can pretty much eat them year round. But spring, late winter, spring, early summer, that's when salads are meant. And then as it gets warmer, then it's time for corn or tomatoes or the stone fruits, peaches and all. And then when it gets cooler, it's time for storage crops, beets, carrots, winter squash, that sort of thing. And it all flows. And when you get used to eating with the seasons, then your body feels better. You're being kinder to the environment. You're not, spending a whole bunch of making a big carbon footprint, bringing stuff in from across the world. All kinds of good things come out of eating with the seasons. And that's what I love to convey is that concept.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But as far as what my favorite foods are, any fruit.
You're a fruit.
Peaches, strawberries. We did grow strawberries for a while.
Nice.
Blueberries. My friend Terry down in Smith River, she grows these little things. They're called gummy berries, they're interesting. Yes. And then she has these tiny little strawberries called alpine strawberries. Oh. And they're very little, and we sell them by half pints. But boy, they pack a punch. And they're just, she's introduced me to all kinds of new stuff that just last year, I didn't know of such a thing as gummy berries existed. So anyway, it's fun.
Right. Well, and I can tell right now that the listeners are probably jotting down a few of these names going, I've never heard of that. I want to check that out. How do I plant that? How do I grow that? Uh-huh. When do you put it in the ground? Mm-hmm. Do I start it from a seed? Do I start it from a plant? Mm-hmm. There's a question for you. Mm-hmm. How do you grow your goodies?
Well, so I have to be honest, we are not currently growing any of our own food right now. But when we did, the first thing I learned was raised beds are a must because in this region, it rains so much and drainage is an issue, and most plants don't like wet feet. So raised beds to start with. Make sure you're growing on well-drained soil. We learned that the hard way. We had bought raspberry plants from a place up in Washington. So they were Pacific Northwest. They were root rot resistant. And I'd known I had to buy that because of the rain. What we didn't know was that our raised beds were on top of a hard pan. Oh. And one June, after we'd planted these plants, it rained about 3 inches and the rain didn't drain. And the roots got wet. And the plants ended up dying. So that's important. Growing with the seasons, companion planting. I'm a fan of organic, and so I don't like to use amendments to the soil. I like to use natural when I can. Mm-hmm. I discovered the kelp amendment was amazing. It had all kinds of minerals in it. I learned all about NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and what's important for what. Nitrogen, I know, is for leafy growth. I can't remember which the other two are.
It's okay.
One is for fruits and one is for roots, and I can't remember which is which. But just, and what was the question again? Oh, what did I grow? How did I grow it? And then, accepting that there's going to be a bit of loss to pests and being okay with that. If you're going to be organic, you have to. I learned all about how to deal with slugs. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing here.
Give everybody a tip on that one, please, Kathleen.
Well, Sluggo. Love Sluggo, swore by Sluggo. I tried the copper strips, but we were growing on a kind of a semi-commercial basis, and we couldn't do enough copper. I had a pair of scissors. It's going to sound gross, but I had a pair of scissors, and I'd walk around in the evening, and when I would see a slug, especially the bananas, I would just snip it in two and go about my business. I know salt will kill them, but it just seemed kind of, I don't know, it seemed like to extend their suffering.
Harsh, very harsh.
Yeah.
Very brutal.
Yeah, of course, probably Sluggo does the same thing. I don't know what I think about it. But anyway, and just, a lot of people will lay boards down around their gardens, and in the morning you lift them up and there's where all the slugs are. And then you can drop them in, water or whatever. Right. It's not water that they use. What do they use? I can't remember now. Maybe it's apple cider vinegar.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Probably apple cider vinegar.
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
very
anyway.
cool. So those are some really, really good tips because I think we all have slugs in our area here. Sure. All of us do. Sure. And I think a lot of us have apple trees and different kinds of trees that just are prolific at different times of the year, And it's so fun to hear you talk about all this because we have a wonderful community garden. We have other places, even in Del Norte County, that are places that people grow the foods, sell them, share them, pass them on to everybody so we can all be healthier and happier in how we eat.
Exactly. There's our food shed. I borrowed that term from, you've heard of watersheds.
Yes.
Like the Chetco is our watershed. Our food shed is very similar in that it's the region generally within about 150 miles of a place where you get the majority of your food from. And when you learn to shop within your food shed within the seasons, then everything's the better for it.
Absolutely. So this show is joyously free. I think food always triggers joyously free. So if anybody's out there salivating right now, it's okay. It's definitely okay. Definitely, for sure. And I guess when I think about food, I think of another talent. Well, I'm going to go to two things here. Otterbee. That's a focus on honey and bees. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, so the origins of the name were my husband's fault. Remember I said Rich was a spontaneous risk taker. Well, he also loves to play with words. So we're in John Day camping on my way to see our folks in Lewiston, Idaho.
Uh-huh.
This was 20 years ago or so. And we're trying to come up with a name for our new farm/business. Well, we're on the coast, so we're trying to think in terms of ocean-type words. We had a really good friend who loved sea otters, and she was a mushroom picker. And so, we knew her well, and she has otters plastered around her house. Well, but that didn't convey that we are selling grown food, harvested food. And so that's where the bee comes from. Everyone thinks it's because we're we're beekeepers. We're not.
Oh.
The bee indicates that we're growing plants that bees pollinate. And so the name Otterbees came from that. And the first thing Rich says, let's call it Otterbees. I said, what? He said, you ought to be checking out Otterbees.
I love it.
And then he went off on a roll, and it was just, I was rolling on the ground. You might be needing Otterbees. You should be shopping at Otterbees. You could be eating from Otterbees. And on and on and on he went. And so our logo, our dear friend Richard Wickstrom, who was a graphics designer out of the Bay Area, and they were also mushroom pickers, and they were customers of ours. He came up with our logo, which is the face of an otter with a bee flying around his head. And the otter has this bemused look like, what the heck is this bee doing? Mm-hmm. And that's our logo.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
And it's been great. So,
But don't you also sell honey?
We do sell honey from Korean Earls.
I've always thought the Otterbee was just a real cute logo related to the actual honey, because your honey is fabulous.
That comes from Corinne Earls, and she has Chetco Gold honey, and hers honey is the honey we've always sold, and she's very good.
Oh my God!
And I do love her honey, and she's wholesaled to me ever since we started the website. So 2017, 8 years that we've been buying from her and then reselling her honey. So yeah,
fabulous
quality stuff.
That very quality stuff,
and made right here in the area up the Chetco. So
you bet. My friend Sally Roy, she and I go hiking at different times, and we'll pack a little snack and peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and honey, and I use the honey, of course. And it's nice just to have a little sandwich in my backpack, a day pack, when you're out and about on the trails or wherever you happen to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So, one of the other talents I love about you, and I see you around town, and you were performing at a Christmas pageant this year at the United Methodist Church in Crescent City. Talk to me about your music and your piano playing and how that all fits with Joyously Free.
Well, that's an easy one, because for me, music is it. That is, oftentimes music is how I think God talks to me and I talk back. My mother gave me a coffee coaster when I was young, when I was a teenager, that said, what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God.
Oh.
And I've had that by my bedstand for 50 years.
Kathleen, would you repeat that a little bit slower for everybody?
Sure.
You may want to jot this down, everybody. This is excellent.
It goes, what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. And it always just makes me think of my mother, first of all. Wonderful angel person. Some people in town met her. But music was her gift to me. She gave both my brother and I music lessons. Jerry didn't stick with it, but I did. And
Music as in piano?
Piano. Yeah, sorry, piano.
Okay.
Yeah, I play piano. That's my thing. I'm currently also singing, which only happened because I quit smoking 7 years ago. Thank the Lord.
Congratulations.
And that was a God thing also. That I won't go into that story, but that was a God thing. And now that I don't smoke, I can actually sing again. And so, when you say, make a joyous noise unto the Lord, oh, for heaven's sake, that's an easy thing for me. Somebody will say something and I'll think of a song and start singing it. Or I'll be down at St. Tim's serving with the Methodists on a Monday, and someone will come up with a song and we'll start dancing. And, I just can't, for me, that was God's gift to me, was my ability to play and my love of music, every genre. I mean, I love, classical and pop and country and hip hop and everything. And, so it's just been so much fun to combine that with everything else I do in this area and share what I do with people. And so music, joy and music just go like this. They're hand in glove.
Right on. Right on. Good deal. And do you provide any singing lessons or music lessons, or is it all entertainment for yourself and wherever you can donate your time?
Pretty much that. I'm not the best teacher. I don't have that quality. I've tried giving piano lessons in the past, and I'm just not that good. There are really good teachers in town. David Sedgwick's one, if you want a name of somebody.
Yeah, there you go.
He gives piano lessons.
There you go.
And there's a lady in Brookings that gives voice lessons. I apologize, I can't remember her name. Annette, I believe it is, up the Winchuck. No, I just basically share my music with as many people as I can. You know, the chorale is all volunteer singers. Piano, I play piano at church. That's the one place I play these days. And got to play with David at that Christmas concert that you went to.
Exactly.
And that's how I share it, is freely, and anyone who wants to.
Fantastic. I can't believe how fast time has gone.
Yeah.
Do you believe you're down to about 30 seconds, 45 seconds? Give us your final thoughts and comments on Joyously Free and everything you've talked about, or something new. What are your final comments?
As far as Joyously Free goes, you can't live in this area, Brookings, Oregon, and not feel joy on a regular daily basis. And that is freeing in and of itself. If you feel tied up in knots, or you get anxious, or something's really bothering you, just go out into nature and just hug a tree or watch a bird or down to the ocean, and you will feel that joy. And then life is going to be a lot easier to deal with.
Absolutely. I love it. And life will be easier to deal with. I love it. That's fantastic. Oh, Kathleen, I thank you so much for being here today. You have been a superstar guest, just chit-chatting and just giving us a lot of tips and stories about your life and how you are most joyful here in Brookings, Oregon. Listeners, thank you for joining with us today. I hope this has been a joyously free moment for you. You've been inspired, I hope, and challenged. Maybe some hopes, loves, joys, and tips from Kathleen, our special guest today. I'll give her high tens and clapping for her. And so from the top of my heart, I thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, KCIW 100.7 FM, Brookings, Oregon. Of course, Tom Bozak's on our soundboard today, so appreciate you, Tom, and Mike and Candace and Rose and the entire team. You can find more information about Kathleen. She gave you a website, and you can find more information about me at twosisterswriting.com. All my books, of course, are on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you shop online. Of course, we would love to hear your comments about anything that Kathleen or myself has shared today. Contact KCIW, or you can email them as well. We believe in you. We hope that you have an incredible, beautiful, wonderful day. Thanks for being here. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.